Sometimes when I say I went out to find adventure in London, and that is for me what a city is for, but I'm not one of these kind of urbex people who kind of goes into derelict buildings and jumps off roofs and climbs up cranes. I go to places like Plumstead and Hounslow Heath and Bostal Woods. And these are places I'm not going there out of some sort of quirky fascination with what people would sneer at. I go there because these are places rich with narrative and mythology, rich with story. And where we're stood now is probably one of the richest mythological landscapes in London. Where we see around us these new towers blocks and office blocks rising, this is Blake's Jerusalem. This is where William Blake saw pillars of gold rising from the fields of Islington. Here where they build office blocks. And I think it's important to kind of keep pushing that narrative out there, that this isn't not just a landscape of commerce, a landscape of capital, this is a landscape of narrative. And we write a new narrative every time we walk. Every person walking up here is etching a narrative and annotating this street with their own story. I used to live at the top of the hill here on a Barnsbury estate, just which you could see if that hoarding wasn't in the way. And I used to walk to work every day at the South Bank. And now when I walk for 4.5 years, I hardly got any public transport for 4.5 years. And now when I walk those same streets, I am absolutely bombarded and heckled with 4.5 years worth of memories and stories and associations. But before I go into my whole Islington thing, I thought I'd just give you a sample of other parts of the book, but I don't know what to choose. So if you can call out a page number between 1 and 296. Don't shout out one. Well, you could do actually. London's vast. You could spend the rest of your life exploring it. Walking London, exploring London is a bit like painting the Sydney Harbour Bridge. When they paint the Sydney Harbour Bridge, they get to the end, they turn around, they start again. When you explore London, like I wrote about this area here 4 years ago, none of this was here. It's all completely changed. It's a constantly evolving and changing city. So I could redo all the walks in this book, and they would a lot of them would be different. And so you have to find ways into it. You could go anywhere, and I wanted to go to Tooting Common for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons I wanted to go there was because it's also a crater on Mars. There is a crater on Mars called Tooting. And you might go, well, that's just a coincidence, that is not after Tooting in South London. No, it is after Tooting in South London. The guy who discovered the crater is a homesick expat who lives in Hawaii, where they have a lot of observatories in Hawaii. But what I love about that is you can't just go, I'm going to call that Tooting, and they go, oh, fair enough. There is an incredibly convoluted process by which you get an extraterrestrial plot of land named. And there are all these committees, and you have to submit a written document detailing exactly why you believe that place should be called in this case Tooting. And if you look at a map of Mars, around Tooting you'll see Olympus Mons, you'll see the sea of Amazonia Planaria, and all these kind of, and then there's Tooting. And in his document, he includes a photograph of Tooting Broadway as supporting evidence for why, and it's there, it's on the map of Mars, go and have a look. The hill that I used to live at the top of, you might know it as Pentonville Road. I know it as the Penton Mound. The Penton Mound. Penton, meaning the head of the sacred hill, is one of the holiest sites in Britain, according to the author Elizabeth Gordon, writing in 1914. Now, she imagined a city of 4 principal sacred mounds. One of them you will know very well, Top Hill. Does anyone know where Tot Hill was? Top Hill is Westminster, where the Houses of Parliament are. The second principal sacred mound of London is the White Mound, or White Hill. That is now Tower Hill. The third principal sacred mound is the Penton, the Caer Troia. So this is the capital, the sacred holy site of Brutus's London. Brutus the Trojan, a refugee, a war refugee, is the founder of London. And then the fourth principal mound is Parliament Hill. Now, 3 of those, you'll notice, this is going to collapse them, isn't it? The story of my life. It's a metaphor for something, I don't know what it is. 3 of those mounds that you'll see are still celebrated. The The top hill was a place of congregation. It still is a place of congregation. You will see people gathered there throughout this week, protesting and trying to make a decision about the future of the country. It's where our Houses of Parliament are. The White Mound, the Brink is the Tower of London, the Parliament Hill is still celebrated. But for some reason, this mound here, the one on our doorstep, is ignored. It's overlooked. And not only that, it's not only a principal mound, it was topped by a stone circle, according to Gordon, and not just a stone circle, but also an observatory, a well observatory, where they would observe the stars. Now, there was a well at the top of Pentonville Road, whereas now the New Riverhead Upper Reservoir, which is a bit more prosaic than a druidic observatory. So I'm going with the druidic thing. There was a well there for many years. There were ducking ponds there. But it wasn't any old observatory. This observatory was the observatory of Merlin the Wizard. Merlin the Wizard, and he lived in the heart of Penton Mound, in Merlin's Cave. And until the 1970s, is there any some of the older people I can see watching, may have visited a prog rock club called Merlin's Cave, which was Merlin's Tavern, which was this side actually, it was the King's Cross side. But that legend goes back hundreds of years. Now, it may have been an enterprising tavern owner, I don't know. You may also find some people who will say Penton isn't the head of the sacred mound, but actually is named after Henry Penton, the developer who built the houses. But those people are squares, they're killjoys, don't listen to them. Let's go with the Merlin myth and head of the sacred mound.